ranking the units on this year's team versus the best unit of that unit in recent memory. So the quarterbacks in this year versus the best quarterback unit recently, kind of stuff, which was good because, hey, doing hurricane prep and everything down here. And I meant to say this off the top. I hope that everyone is good and safe. If you're in the path of the storm, hopefully you've evacuated. If not, I hope that, again, you and your families and property are all safe. You and your families always come first. So, please take care of yourselves and avail yourselves of any help that is there if you do need it. Luckily and thankfully, it's going, for me, it's going to a place other than directly here in South Florida. But we're still I did my normal prep that I do, get some non-perishables so that I have some stuff here in the house in case we lose power. Ironically, was it last week? I think it was last week. Like 30 seconds after I signed off, lost power. And it was crazy because it was only 30 accounts here in Fort Lauderdale. So it's like my building and two other buildings on this one side of the street. But literally it was like, cool, see you, log off, gonna go make some dinner, on my electric stove. I was like, oh, okay, cool, right. No. Anyways. But yeah, so I did the research to look this up and everything. So if we go down quickly, and I will try to go as quickly as I can. At quarterback, obviously this year, Cam Ward is that dude, leading the country in passing and passing touchdowns and total touchdowns responsible for with 23, 20 passing and 3 rushing through 6 games. I don't know what else to tell you about that. The 2 most recent would be 20 and 21 at quarterback. So that would be De'Aaron King's full year. 2,600 yards plus about 550 rushing, a total of 27 touchdowns with N'Kosi Perry and Tyler Van Dyke behind him. And then 2021, when De'Aaron King came back, got injured, and Tyler Van Dyke had his ACC Rookie of the Year season, just short of 3,000 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. All 3 of those are actually pretty good position room units, especially because I didn't even mention, Emory Williams or Reese Poffenbarger or Judd Anderson, because it's a unit thing, not an individual thing. But Miami has the best quarterback in the country this year, by far. So, yeah, that's going to put this year's list or unit atop the list for me. Running back is an interesting one. Miami's super deep in the backfield this year. 5 game-ready running backs. Damian Martinez, Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle, A.J. Allen, who's kind of the forgotten guy in this group, and then Chris Johnson Jr. The production is better than you would think. It's 184 yards a game rushing. But in 2018, Travis Homer had 985 and 4 touchdowns, and DJ Dallas had 617 and 6 touchdowns. And in 2016, that was the last time we had a 1,000-yard rusher. Mark Walton with 1117 and 14 touchdowns. Joe Yearby with 608 and 7 touchdowns. And the speed back, Gus Edwards, with 300 yards and a touchdown. Because, Gus the Bus is a great, kind of sound. But no, he definitely was a scat back. Honestly, on overall talent, I would take this year. On production, I'm probably taking either the 16 or 18 running back room. You have 2 guys in Homer and DJ who were, a great compliment to each other. And, in 16, Walton was really, really good, you guys. And then Yearby with 600 and, Gus in there as well, who's still in the league. It just, I would lean one of those other ways just on the way that this year has gone to this point. At wide receiver, we just kind of touched on the fact that I'm not really pleased with 2 of the 4 receivers, because we really have run 4 receivers this year. It's been Restrepo, George, Horton, and Sam Brown. In 21, the Tyler Van Dyke season, that was Charleston Rambo's record-setting year, 79 catches for 1172 and 7 touchdowns. Mike Harley had 500-plus and 5 touchdowns. Keyshawn Smith had 403 touchdowns. And Xavier Restrepo, as a freshman, had 373 and 2 touchdowns. So he's been in 2 of these, obviously, because he's the number 1 guy now. Or 2016, again, a really good offense, in case you guys have forgotten. That was the record-setting freshman year of my guy, AR-82, Amon Richards, leading the way, 934. Then you had Stacey Coley, My guy Malcolm Lewis from Miramar, and Braxton Berrios, who's still in the league as a freshman that year. Honestly, I'm probably taking 16 with AR as a freshman before the injuries and things like that over this group, because those four all could play and kind of rotate. I mean, the 21 season was like Rambo and the Pips, you know what I mean? Like, it was all Charleston Rambo. And it was a great season for him. But yeah, I'm going to go probably with the 16 group. There's still some to be desired in the wide receiver room for growth and development and performance for Miami. At tight end this year, you have the return of Elijah Arroyo. Thank God, because last year tight end was pretty much useless in this offense. 35-year-old Cam McCormick, and then you have Riley Williams and Elijah Lofton, the true freshmen. And the other units would be the 2020 tight end unit, which was Brevin Jordan at just short of 600 yards and 7 touchdowns, and Will Mallory at 330 and 4 touchdowns. Or, say it with me again, 2016, where you had David Njoku in his final year, his redshirt sophomore year, 698, but 700 yards, 8 touchdowns, and Chris Herndon, still in the league, 334 and 2 touchdowns. This is tough because I think Elijah Arroyo is a really, really good tight end. He's going to start in the league for a long time. He can be a very high draft pick. McCormick, he's going to go pro in something other than sports just because he's my age, damn near. But, Riley Williams and Elijah Lofton, they have great potential as well. If you're looking for overall depth, probably this year. But if you're looking for top-end performance, hard to go, to not take a group from 16 that has 2 guys that are still in the league, still playing, and Njoku, when he's not injured, still starting and, dominating games. So I said, I'm actually going to mark these down. I said 16 wide receiver, 16 tight end, and probably 16 running back. That's crazy. But the depth of 24 running back is really, really great. Offensive line this year, by far. The comparable years would be 2020. That was John Campbell, Ja'Kai Clark, Corey Gaynor, DJ Scaife, Jared Williams, who transferred over from Houston a year after, or with De'Aaron King, with Zion Nelson and Navon Donaldson. Or 2017, which is Tyree St. Louis, Trevor Darling, Donaldson's freshman All-American season, Casey McDermott, and Tyler Gauthier at center. Yeah, I just think that this group is better across the board. And you have guys like Maui Noah. Enjoy him for the next 20-something games, because that guy is leaving after 3 years. And I know Markel Bell is not a finished product, and he has gotten beaten for a couple of sacks this year. Other than that, he's been dominating people, blocking out the sun. And that's a guy who came off the bench because Jalen Rivers has been injured. When have we had that kind of depth where starter gets injured and you bring in somebody else who's pretty darn good? And Matthew McCoy at left guard was rotational with Ryan Rodriguez. Rodriguez started the opener, got injured, hasn't played since. And I mean, personally, he's a bigger body. I like that in my offensive lineman at 6'6", 310. So, I was pushing for Matthew McCoy to get that job. I enjoy it. But still, even if you're like, dude, but he was beat out by this other guy who started in the opener and haven't missed a beat. When you go back to the 17 team, that, or things like that, we were talking on here so many times about Miami not having tackle body types, where you're having to play Trevor Darling and Casey McDermott outside when they're clearly guards. But we have to play them at tackle. We're not in that position anymore. So those are just the offensive positions. On defense, this year's Bain, Barron, Alston, and Mesidor at defensive end. The other ones would be 2019. That was the 18.5 tackle for loss, 15.5 sack season by Greg Russo, along with John Garvin, still in the league, Trayvon Hill, and Scott Patchen. And 2017, that defense, trusty Trent Harris, the cyborg himself, Joe Jackson, Chad Thomas, and Demetrius Thomas, or Demetrius Jackson, excuse me. it's hard to go against that season from Greg Russo, man. Like, I know that we have talent, in multiple areas, but again, two of those guys are still in the league as well from the 19 team, and like he was just record setting. So I'm probably going to go there. Although, again, if you're looking at the overall depth, I didn't even mention any of the freshmen at defensive end. So that's not even mentioning an Armando Blunt who plays inside outside. That's not mentioning a Marcus Lightfoot. That's not mentioning the Booker Pickett Jr. or anything. So if you're looking for the depth, I think this year, but from the high end performance, the Greg Russo season. Defensive tackle, Mesdor plays there. Also Barrow, Cook, Justin Scott, and Ahmad Moten. In 2022, that was Leonard Taylor and Daryl Jackson, who's not Florida State, along with Jared Harrison Hunt. Or my answer, 2018, that was the 37 tackle for loss, exaggeration for comedic effect, but you get what I'm saying. I think it was like actually 23 tackle for loss season by Gerald Willis III, along with Tito Odenigbo, Pat Bethel, and that was Nesta Silvera's freshman year. And he did play plenty of snaps that year. So yeah, GW3, man, he was the destroyer of worlds. Like he made life tough for a lot of guys. At linebacker, I'm going this year. You have Kiko, you have Wesley Basainth, and Popo Aguirre has taken a huge step forward. Also, Chase Smith rotating in a little bit, but making some great plays when he's been out there. And Malik Bryant, linebacker, but he's been more on the DN side, so I would put him over there, especially from the Virginia Tech game. The other year would be 2019. That was Shaq and Pinckney's senior year, along with Romeo Finley and Gilbert Frierson playing striker. Cornerback this year has been Porter, OJ Frederick, and Dione Hill. 2017 was Michael Jackson, Malik Young before his career-ending injury, and D. Delaney. But my answer is 2022, which has guys who are still in the league, Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Ivey, and Corey Couch being able to play inside, which is where he was always meant to play. I'm sorry, I know you want to be a cornerback, but buddy, you're a slot. You're only 5'8", but being able to actually play there and everything. So I would go with 22. And then at safety, we already know this year's been a struggle. Powell, Harris, Patterson, the freshman, and Markeith Williams. Now this is tough. In 2022, we had All-American Cam Kinchins and James Williams. And then in 2018, we had senior Jaquan Johnson and senior Sheldrick Redwine. It's kind of a toss-up on which one of those. I went with the 22 season with Cam, All-American Cam with a K, but that's pretty... I wouldn't be mad if you're like, yo, I'm sorry, give me Quan and Redwine, who were born in the same hospital on the same day, lived on the same block, played their whole life together. Like, all of that is true. Hey, if you're like, yo, give me those two, I'm not even going to be mad at you. The last one, I think, is a coin flip. It is this year's kicking duo of Andres Borregales and Dylan Joyce versus the other Borregales, Jose Borregales and Lou Headley in 2020. That was the year that he won the Groza Award. Do I think that the younger Borregales is going to win the Groza this year? Probably not. But actually, I'm probably going to go with the Groza year with the older Borregales and Headley. But I mean, between those, there's not really a wrong answer. Like, they're both great kicker and punter duos and everything. So yeah, but I really credit this person who asked this one, and there's another question that we're going to get to that I did preparation for. But when you go back, you look, man, I picked running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends from 2016. And like that's where you see, okay, this was building towards the 2017 season. If only Brad Kaya had stuck around. And then on defense, I picked defensive end and linebacker from 2019. And then cornerbacks and safeties. So the whole secondary from 22. You know what I mean? Like, we've had parts and pieces here and there, and it's done this, but like this year overall is where everything seems to kind of be coming together. And you have enough on offense to cover for some of the shortfalls on defense. But it was a really interesting kind of trip down memory lane to say, yeah, within like the last, especially because it was like the most recent good version. That's why I didn't go back to like 05, 06 or anything, but started at 22 and just, 23 and just worked my way backwards. But it's really interesting seeing that, like, like 16's offense numbers, like, 22's defense kind of lockdown. You know what I mean? So it was interesting to see all that.
Yeah, boy, there were a lot of names there that I have not thought about in quite some time.
Nor I until I looked it up. But yeah, so interesting stuff.